welcome to Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. Today we're going to be creating a Valentine's Day card with this cute nuts and bolts robot stamp set. So there's a couple of sentiments in here that are quite good for Valentine's Day. You make my heart go beep and I'm nuts and bolts about you. I'm going to use this I'm nuts and bolts about you. I'm kind of feeling in my head like it's quite early for Valentine's, but it's actually only about 4 weeks away. So I thought it was time to get my head in the zone and get a Valentine's Day card made. So we're going to create kind of a fancy fold card, and the first thing I'm going to do is use my trimmer. So you'll see my trimmer has a score blade and a cut blade on it. So if yours doesn't, then you can use a scoring tool instead of your score blade. And also if you don't have a cut blade like this, because on rotary trimmers it's very difficult to do accurate cuts that we'll need today, then you might want to use a craft knife with a metal ruler instead. So I've got an 8" by 6" piece of petal pink cardstock, and I'm just going to line that up at 1 inch, and I'm going to score that, and then I'm going to line it up at 2 inches. So you'll see this side of my score line I've got a 1 inch, that's what I lined it up with before, but the 2 inches is not as much as 2 inches that side, so I'm lining it with the 2 inches on this side. And I'm scoring again, and then I'm going to do the same at the other end. So I'm going to score at 1 inch and at 2 inches. And then I'm going to make some cuts. So I'm going to line this up at 1 inch here, and I'm going to cut from this 1 inch mark here to the 3 inch mark. So that's where I'm saying if you've not got a trimmer like this where it's easy to line that up, then you might want to use a craft knife and ruler instead. And so then I'm also going to do from 5 inches to 7 inches. And then I'm going to line it up at 2 inches, just here. And I'm going to do exactly the same. So I'm going to do 1 inch to 3 inches. And then I'm going to do 5 inches to 7 inches. Then I'm going to move to 4 inches. I'm going to do the same again. So I'm going to do 1 inch to 3 inches and 5 inches to 7 inches. And then finally I'm going to go to 5 inches. And I'm going to do the same again. So 1 inch to 3 inch, and then 5 inches to 7 inches. So you'll see then I've got 2 score lines on each side and 4 cut lines on each side. So then I'm going to line this up at 3 inches. And I'm just going to score between these 2 lines, so between the cut lines. So that means I'm going to score from 1 inch to 2 inches, and I'm going to score in from 4 inches to 5 inches. And I'm going to do that on this side as well. So I'm going to line it up at 3 inches, and then I'm going to score from 1 inch to 2 inches, from 4 inches to 5 inches. So then I've got my card blank, so I'm going to just fold those in score lines over, and then with the next one, these pieces that we've cut are going to fold backwards, and these ones So the top, the middle and the bottom are all going to bend forwards. So once you've got those folds in place, then you can give it a nice rub. And then at this side we're going to do the same. So these middle ones are going to fold backwards. And these top, middle and bottom ones are going to fold forwards. And then we can get them all folding the right way like that. So there's my card base. And I'm going to take these hearts from my stamp set. In hindsight, I probably should have done this before I did the cutting, but I didn't, so I'm going to do it now. And I'm going to take my basic grey ink and I'm just going to stamp these hearts all over my cardboard. So I've noticed that I made a bit of a mistake here, so I'll have to think of something to cover that up at the end. I'll leave it for now. Then I'm going to stamp the robot with the heart in Memento black ink onto a scrap of basic white cardstock, and I'm going to use my smoky slate and real red stamping blends just to colour him in. So then, because the eyes didn't come out quite as bright as I wanted them to when I stamped, I'm just going to go over with my basic black Stampin' Right marker, and then I'm going to cut it out. And actually, before I cut that out, I've got these two circles, one in Petal Pink and one in Basic Grey, that I've cut out using our Layering Circles dies. And I'm just going to stamp the robot again on the pink one. And the reason for that is that when this is cut out, I'm going to add it onto this pink circle. But when I'm cutting it out, I don't want to worry about cutting out all these little bits. So then I can cut them off and they'll be on this piece of pink behind it. So then I don't need to worry about cutting those bits out, and I won't lose any of the detail. Don't worry if that doesn't make sense now. I'm sure it will all make sense once I actually put it on the pink cardstock. So I'm just chopping off those bits rather than cutting them out because they're just far too fiddly to cut out. And I might even just colour this in on here, just so that I don't have to cut that out either. Because the reason I've done it on white is to get the nice colours, because you're not going to get quite as crisp colours if you colour onto pink as you are if you colour onto white. But I think for that circle it doesn't matter, and it just saves me from having to cut that little tiny circle out. So then I'm just going to glue my robot over the top of the robot on the pink one. And then I can glue this circle onto the grey circle. So that's going to be the main focal point of my cards. Then I want a sentiment. Then I'm going to heat emboss on Nuts and Bolts About You onto a spare piece of basic grey cardstock. I'm going to use white embossing powder. So just heat that up. Then I'm just going to go cut that down. So then I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals. And we just want to bear in mind where these kind of like holy bits are going to be, so I don't want to put anything like too close to the edge that might overlap with these. And then I'm going to pop a dimensional down. Oh. And I'm going to pop a dimensional just there, because that will come here. And a bit of glue along the top. And I'm going to put this just here. I might just sneak in another dimensional just next to here. Just to hold that up a bit better. So then I probably would have left that like that, but I want to kind of try and take away from this smudge here. So I've got these adhesive backed hexagons, which I think kind of look a bit like bolts. So I'm going to add some of those on. And obviously you can still see a little bit of that there, but I think it just kind of takes away from it a bit. You don't notice it as much. And I could obviously have started again, but I chose to take the easy way out. So I'm just going to stick a few of those around my design. And even with my little mistake, I'm happy with that now. So it's a cute fun card for Valentine's Day. I think if you made a mistake like that and you were really bothered about it, you could always stick a 1" by 6" strip of petal pink cardstock along both of those edges just to make them even and stamp your hearts down again. But I'm not too worried about it. So here's my finished card. I really hope that you enjoyed making that with me today. If you did, I'd appreciate you clicking like below. And you can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also send you notifications when I've got a new video available. All of the products that I've used for today's video are listed in the description below, and there's also a host code there. So if you pop the host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.